Imagine for a moment that an alien spacecraft didn't land in a field in Kansas, but instead crashed into the deepest, darkest trenches of our oceans 500 million years ago. Imagine a creature with blue blood, 3 hearts, and a brain that isn't trapped inside a skull, but is instead spread throughout its entire body, allowing its limbs to think, taste, and touch with a mind of their own. This isn't the plot of a science fiction movie. This is the reality of the octopus. A living, breathing enigma that defies every rule of biology we thought we understood. While we look to the stars for signs of extraterrestrial life, we have been sharing our planet with a creature so structurally and bizarre that some of the world's leading biologists have seriously questioned if their DNA originated on this planet at all. We are about to dive into the abyss to uncover the history of a master of disguise that can vanish in a fraction of a second, and escape artist that can fit its entire body through a hole the size of its own eyeball, and a genius of the deep that can solve complex puzzles, use tools, and perhaps even recognize human faces. This is the story of the Octopus, alien living in our oceans, and by the time we're done, you will never look at the sea the same way again. To truly understand the octopus, we have to travel back in time, long before the first dinosaur ever let out a roar, to a world where the oceans were the only stage for life. Around 500 million years ago, the ancestors of the octopus were nothing like the soft-bodied shapeshifters we see today. They were shelled creatures, slow-moving and heavily armored, much like the nautilus that still exists in our deep waters. But then, a revolutionary evolutionary choice was made. While almost every other creature on Earth was evolving bones or thicker shells to protect themselves, the ancestor of the octopus decided to throw its armor away. It traded the safety of a hard shell for the ultimate gift: total physical freedom. By losing their shells, they gained the ability to squeeze into impossible spaces, to move with lightning speed, and to manipulate their environment in ways no other invertebrate could imagine. This was the moment that Alien was born, a creature that sacrificed its shield to become the greatest strategist in the history of the ocean. But this freedom came with a price. Without a shell, the octopus became a high-calorie snack for every predator in the sea. To survive, it had to become smarter, faster, and more deceptive than anything else. This pressure cooked their evolution in a unique way, leading to a nervous system that is unlike anything else in the animal kingdom. While you have one central brain that controls your movements, an octopus has a decentralized intelligence. About 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are actually located in its arms, not its head. This means that an octopus's arm can literally think for itself. If an arm is severed, which they can regrow, by the way, that arm will continue to crawl, hunt, and even try to bring food to a mouth that is no longer there for a short period of time. Each arm is equipped with hundreds of suckers, each of which is packed with taste and touch sensors. Imagine being able to taste the texture of a rock or the chemical signature of a crab just by brushing against it with your elbow. This is the sensory overload that an octopus manages every single second of its life. The biology of the octopus is a masterclass in alien design. Let's talk about their blood. While our blood is iron-based and red, octopus blood is copper-based and blue. This copper-based protein, called hemocyanin, is actually much more efficient at transporting oxygen in the cold, low-oxygen environments of the deep ocean. But because hemocyanin makes the blood more viscous, the octopus needs an incredible amount of pressure to pump it through its body. Tosolbites in nature gave them not 1, but 3 hearts. 2 of these hearts, the branchial hearts, are dedicated solely to pumping blood through the gills, while the 3rd, systemic heart, pumps the oxygenated blue blood to the rest of the body. Here is the suspenseful twist. When an octopus swims, the 3rd heart actually stops beating. Swimming is so physically demanding for them that they prefer to crawl along the ocean floor. It is as if they are biological Ferraris that can only drive for a few seconds before the engine needs to rest. This is why you often see them moving with a slow, ghostly grace. They are quite literally saving their own lives with every movement. The most famous superpower of the octopus is, of course, its ability to camouflage. But calling it camouflage is an understatement. It is more like high-definition biological cinema. An octopus can change its skin color, pattern, and even its physical texture in less than 200 milliseconds faster than you can blink. They do this using millions of specialized cells called chromatophores, which are essentially tiny bags of pigment controlled by muscles. Beneath these, iridophores, and leucophores, which reflect light to create shimmering greens, blues, and whites. But the real magic is in the papillae muscles in the skin that can instantly transform a smooth-skinned octopus into something that looks like a jagged rock, a clump of seaweed, or a patch of sand. Scientists have watched octopuses move across a coral reef, changing their appearance every single second to match the background perfectly. They are invisible in plain sight, a living ghost that only appears when it wants to strike. But how do they know what color to turn? Here is the real mystery that baffles researchers. Octopuses are believed to be colorblind. They only have one type of photoreceptor in their eyes, whereas humans have 3. So, how can a colorblind animal perfectly match the vibrant reds, yellows, and purples of a coral reef? Emerging research suggests that the octopus might be seeing Wheatit-Skeen. Some scientists believe that the light-sensitive proteins found in their eyes are also present in their skin cells, allowing the entire body to detect light and color without the brain even being involved. It is a level of sensory integration that feels truly extraterrestrial. Imagine if your skin could see the color of the chair you're sitting on and automatically change your clothes to match it. That is the daily life of an octopus. Intelligence is where the octopus truly separates itself from the rest of the ocean's inhabitants. They are the only invertebrates that have been observed using tools. In a famous display of foresight, veined octopuses have been seen collecting discarded coconut shells, cleaning them out, and carrying them across the ocean floor to use as a portable fortress. They aren't just reacting to their environment. They are planning for the future. They know that when they reach open water where there are no rocks to hide under, they will need that shell. This requires a level of cognitive complexity usually reserved for crows, primates, and humans. In laboratory settings, octopuses have been known to open child-proof jars, navigate complex mazes, and even play with toys. They have been caught on camera in aquariums at night sneaking out of their tanks, crawling across the floor to eat fish in a neighboring tank, and then returning to their own tank before the staff arrives in the morning, leaving the humans wondering where the fish went. This intelligence often leads to a strange, almost haunting connection with humans. Staff at various research centers have reported that certain octopuses seem to have personalities. Some are shy, some are curious, and some are downright grumpy. There are stories of octopuses who take a dislike to a specific person and will squirt them with a jet of water every time they walk by, while ignoring everyone else. They are watching us just as much as we are watching them. But there is a tragic, suspenseful clock ticking in every octopus's life. Despite their incredible intelligence and complex biology, most octopuses only live for 1 to 5 years. They are the ultimate live fast, die young species. This short lifespan is part of a biological suicide switch that triggers after they reproduce. Once a female octopus lays her eggs, she stops eating. She spends months guarding the eggs, blowing fresh water over them to keep them oxygenated, while her own body literally begins to digest itself. By the time the thousands of tiny alien babies hatch, the mother has withered away and died. This leads us to a profound question. If the octopus lived as long as a human, say 80 years, would they have become the dominant species on Earth? Instead of us, they have the dexterity, the intelligence, and the sensory capabilities to build civilizations. But because they are solitary and die so young, they can never pass their knowledge down to the next generation. Each octopus has to learn everything from scratch, starting its life as a microscopic speck in a vast, hostile ocean. As we continue this journey, we are going to look at the mimic octopus, a creature so smart it can impersonate other deadly animals to scare off predators, and we, LL, explored the great octopus cities that were recently discovered, places that prove these solitary aliens might be more social than we ever imagined. As that mother octopus fades away, her life ending just as thousands of her offspring begin theirs, we are left with a haunting mystery. Why would nature design a creature with the intelligence of a primate, but the lifespan of a hamster? It feels like a glitch in the evolutionary matrix, a deliberate ceiling placed on a species that might otherwise have challenged our own. But within that short window of time, the octopus performs feats of intelligence and deception that make the rest of the animal kingdom look like amateurs. Let's talk about the master of disguise. The mimic octopus, discovered only in the late 1990s. This specific species doesn't just change its color to blend in, it changes its very soul to survive. Most octopuses hide from predators, but the mimic octopus does something far more daring. It impersonates them by tucking its arms in a certain way and changing its swimming rhythm. It can transform into a venomous flatfish, a deadly sea snake, or a spiky lionfish. It studies its environment and chooses the specific costume that will scare away whatever's currently hunting it. This isn't just a reflex. It is a calculated high-stakes performance that requires a brain capable of cataloging the fears of its enemies. The sheer complexity of this behavior is fueled by a nervous system that challenges everything we know about consciousness. While we've established that 2/3 of an octopus's neurons are located in its arms, we have to consider what that actually feels like. Imagine if your hands had their own curiosity, their own sense of taste, and their own memory. An octopus's arms can explore a crevice for food while the central brain is focused on watching for predators. This distributed intelligence means the octopus is essentially a committee of 9 brains, working in perfect, ghostly harmony. And because they are the only invertebrates observed using tools, we see them interacting with a world with a level of intentionality that is chilling. They've been seen carrying 2 halves of a coconut shell across the seafloor, not because they need them now, but because they know they will need a place to hide later. This ability to plan for a future state, a concept called autonoetic consciousness, was once thought to be a uniquely human trait. Yet, here is a mollusk, a cousin to the garden snail, demonstrating it in the silence of the reef. But the real dopamine hit in octopus research came recently with the shattering of the lonely alien myth. For centuries, we believed octopuses were strictly solitary, meeting only to mate and otherwise living lives of total isolation. But in the waters off eastern Australia, scientists discovered something that shouldn't exist. Octopolis, and later, they found another site called These are essentially underwater cities where dozens of gloomy octopuses live in close proximity. They build dens out of discarded shells. They communicate with complex posture and color changes. And they even engage in fights where they throw silt and shells at each other to defend their territory. This discovery changed everything. It proved that when the environment provides enough food and shelter, these aliens are capable of forming complex social structures. It makes you wonder, if they had more time, would these cities evolve into civilizations? Would they develop a shared language? The suspense lies in the fact that we are watching a species on the brink of a social revolution, limited only by the ticking clock of their genetics. Speaking of genetics, this is where the alien theory gets some serious scientific backing. In 2015, the first full genome of an octopus was sequenced, and the results were baffling. The physical hardware of the octopus is just as impressive as its software. We've mentioned their 3 hearts, but consider the mechanics of their ink. It's not just a cloud of smoke used for a getaway. It's a sophisticated chemical weapon. Octopus ink contains an enzyme called tyrosinase, which, when sprayed into the water, can actually dull the sense of smell and taste in a predator like a shark or a large fish. Itasentiel blinds the predator's most powerful tracking tools, giving the octopus time to vanish. Some species even create a pseudomorph, a thick cloud of ink that is roughly the same size and shape as the octopus itself. The predator attacks the ink cloud, thinking it's the meal, while the real octopus turns transparent and slips away. It is the ultimate shell game, played with shadows and chemicals in a world where being caught means certain death. And then there is the sheer strength and dexterity that comes with having no bones. An octopus is essentially a massive, sentient muscle. A giant Pacific octopus, which can have an arm span of up to 30 feet, is strong enough to wrestle a shark or pull apart a heavy crab trap. Because they have no internal or external skeleton, their only hard part is a beak, made of chiton, which looks remarkably like a parrot's beak. If the beak can fit through a hole, the entire octopus can fit through it. This leads to legendary stories of octopuses escaping from secure aquariums through drainage pipes, or even squeezing through the tiny gaps in the lids of jars. Their suckers are equally terrifying and fascinating. A single large octopus can have over 2,000 suckers, each capable of lifting dozens of pounds. But they don't just stick to things. They can taste them. Every time an octopus touches you, it is analyzing your chemical makeup, deciding if you are food, a threat, or something else entirely. The mystery of their intelligence takes an even stranger turn when we look at their eyes. Octopus eyes are a classic example of convergent evolution. They look and function almost exactly like human eyes, with a lens, a retina, and an iris. However, they are actually better designed than ours. In a human eye, the nerve fibers pass in front of the retina, creating a blind spot where the optic nerve exits the eye. In an octopus, The nerve fibers stay behind the retina, meaning they have no blind spot. They see the world in a panoramic, high-definition view that is far superior to our own. But this suspense remains. If they see so well, why are they colorblind? The theory that they see with their skin suggests that the octopus doesn't just look at the world, it experiences it as a total sensory immersion. They are feeling the light, tasting the water, and thinking with their limbs all at once. As we move into the darker, deeper parts of this story, we have to talk about the giants. While the common octopus is a marvel of the reef, the deep ocean holds creatures that look like they belong in a nightmare. We're talking about the seven-arm octopus and the Dumbo octopus, which lives at depths of up to 13,000 feet, where the pressure would crush a human like a soda can. These deep-sea residents have evolved even stranger survival tactics, moving with a ghostly slow-motion grace in a world of perpetual darkness. But even in the abyss, the rules of the octopus remain the same. High intelligence, total camouflage, and a life that is as fleeting as it is brilliant. The question we have to ask is, as the oceans change and the world warms, will these aliens be the ones who adapt and survive while we struggle? Their ability to edit their own RNA suggests they might be the most future-proof creatures on the planet. But before we get to the end of this 9,000-word journey, we have to look at the forbidden knowledge of the octopus. The things they do when they think no one is watching. We have caught them on camera punching fish, seemingly for no reason other than spite or to move them out of the way. We have seen them solve puzzles that would trip up a young child. And we have seen them develop bonds with human divers, recognizing them after months of absence, and reaching out an arm in what can only be described as a greeting. This emotional complexity is the final piece of the puzzle. They aren't just biological machines. They are individuals with memories, preferences, and perhaps even a sense of humor. As we descend deeper into the darkness of the Midnight Zone, the scale of the octopus story shifts from the curious to the truly titanic. Far below the reach of the sun, where the pressure is enough to turn a steel hull into a crumpled can, a war has been raging for millions of years, a battle of monsters that we only know about because of the scars left behind. Imagine a sperm whale, a 60-ton behemoth, surfacing with circular wounds the size of dinner plates etched into its skin. These aren't just marks of a struggle. They are the calling cards of the giant squid and the even more elusive colossal octopus. These deep-sea cephalopods possess eyes the size of basketballs, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom, designed specifically to catch the faint, ghostly bioluminescence of the deep. In Tees' pitch-black arena, the octopus isn't just a clever escape artist. It is a gladiator, with arms as thick as tree trunks and suckers lined with rotating razor-sharp hooks. They can slice through whale blubber as if it were butter. It is a high-stakes game of survival where a mammal that uses sound as a weapon faces off against an alien that uses total silence and invisibility. This is the peak of the octopus's physical power, a reminder that while they may be our friends in the shallows, they are the undisputed masters of the abyss. While the giants haunt our nightmares, there is a tiny creature in the tide pools of Australia and Japan that is far more terrifying. The blue-ringed octopus is a biological paradox. It is beautiful, barely the size of a golf ball, and looks more like a child's toy than a predator. But when it feels threatened, its dull brown skin erupts into a pulsating, neon blue warning. This is the dopamine hit of danger, a signal that it is preparing to deploy one of the most lethal substances on Earth, tetrodotoxin. This venom is 1,200 times more toxic than cyanide, and a single tiny octopus carries enough to paralyze and kill 26 adult humans in minutes. The true suspense lies in the bite itself. It is so small and painless that you might not even know you've been bitten until the paralysis begins. First, your vision blurs, then your speech slurs, and finally, your lungs simply stop working. You remain fully conscious, trapped inside a body that can no longer move. While you wait for someone to provide artificial respiration, there is no known antidote. It is a chilling example of how the octopus plays with the very chemistry of life, using a molecular skeleton key to shut down the nervous systems of creatures 1,000 times its size. But how did they get this way? This brings us to the most controversial and mind-bending theory in modern biology. In 2018, a group of 33 scientists published a paper that sent shockwaves through the global community, suggesting that the sudden appearance of complex cephalopods during the Cambrian explosion might have been triggered by cryopreserved embryos arriving on a comet from deep space. While the mainstream scientific world is highly skeptical of this panspermia theory, the fact that it was even proposed by serious researchers highlights just how other the octopus feels. Their DNA is a labyrinth that defies the standard rules of evolution. We have already established that they have around 33,000 protein-coding genes, nearly 13,000 more than a human. But the real secret of their alien status is their ability to hack their own genetic code. Most animals are slaves to their DNA, waiting for slow mutations over thousands of years to adapt. The octopus, however, can bypass the instructions of its DNA and edit its RNA on the fly to change its proteins. If the ocean temperature shifts or they move to a new environment, they simply rewrite their biological software to survive. This real-time evolution is a superpower that we are only just beginning to understand in 2026. And it explains why they have survived 5 mass extinctions that wiped out almost everything else. The decentralized nature of their intelligence is perhaps the most alien thing of all, with 2/3 of their neurons located in their arms. An octopus doesn't just have 8 limbs. It is effectively 8 semi-independent beings connected to a central command. These arms can taste, touch, and hunt on their own, even if the central brain is asleep or distracted. This is why an octopus can solve a puzzle with one arm while fighting off a predator with another. They are the ultimate multitaskers of the natural world. And let's not forget their incredible regenerative abilities. If an octopus loses one of those thinking arms in a fight, it can regrow it perfectly, nerves and all, in a matter of weeks. This isn't just healing. It is a total biological reset. When you combine this with the fact that they have 3 hearts and blue, copper-based blood, you realize that the octopus isn't just another animal, it is a completely different way of being alive. They are the only creatures on Earth that have achieved high-level consciousness without following the vertebrate blueprint of bones in a single, centralized brain. The suspense of the octopus story is often found in their hidden social lives. For decades, we were told they were lonely hermits. But the discovery of sites like Octopolis and Octlantis has proven that they are capable of building complex, if somewhat chaotic, societies. In these underwater cities, they interact, they fight, they communicate through skin color changes, and they even exhibit what looks like a rudimentary culture. They use tools, like coconut shells or discarded bottles, to build fortifications for their homes. This octopus urbanization suggests that we have severely underestimated their social potential. If they didn't have that suicide switch that triggers death after reproduction, would they have developed a shared language? Would they have built empires in the abyss while we were still learning to make fire? We are watching a species that has all the ingredients for a civilization but is held back by the sheer brevity of its life. It is a tragic, beautiful drama played out in the silence of the sea. In recent years, the human connection to the octopus has taken a deeply emotional turn. Documentaries like My Octopus Teacher have shown the world that these aliens are capable of forming bonds with humans that go beyond simple curiosity. They can recognize individual human faces and will even reach out to touch a hand in a gesture that feels remarkably like trust. This emotional intelligence, combined with their ability to play and solve puzzles, has led to a massive shift in how we view animal rights in the ocean. In many parts of the world, octopuses are now legally recognized as sentient beings, granting them protections that were once reserved only for mammals. This is the dopamine effect of the octopus story. The realization that there is a brilliant, glowing mind looking back at us from under a rock, and that we are not the only geniuses on this planet. As we reach the conclusion of this 9,000-word journey, we have to face the final mystery: the future. In a world where the climate is changing and the oceans are becoming more acidic, the octopus might be the ultimate survivor. Their ability to edit their RNA means they can adapt to rising temperatures and shifting chemistry much faster than almost any other creature. While many fish populations are struggling, octopus populations in some areas are actually booming. They are the opportunists of the Anthropocene. Ready to take over the niches we leave behind? They have seen the rise and fall of the dinosaurs, the arrival of the first humans, and the dawn of the digital age. They are the ancient, blue-blooded ghosts of our past and the high-tech, self-editing survivors of our future. So, the next time you look at the ocean, remember that just beneath the waves, there is a creature with 3 hearts, that is rewriting its own code, a creature that can turn invisible in a heartbeat and think with its fingertips. They are the closest thing to extraterrestrial life we will ever find, and they have been here all along. The story of the octopus is a reminder that the world is far stranger, far more intelligent, and far more connected than we ever dared to imagine. They are the masters of the deep, the geniuses of the reef, and the ultimate proof that nature has no limits. The alien is not in the stars. It is right here, watching us from the shadows of the sea, waiting for us to finally understand the language of the blue blood and the 8 minds.